Yo, what's up YouTube? I thought I'd just do a quick midweek video for you. It's kind of a status, it's not really a status update so much. It's more of a few tidbits that could help you when designing your own apparel label, or mainly the designing aspect. So obviously I started my clothing label last month, call it. Is it last month? No, this month actually. What am I talking about? Because it was a couple weeks ago. So I started my clothing label this month, and obviously I did it during lockdown because I'm in London, right? And it occurred to me that when I was talking about my ordering samples and all the rest of it, it would have been way easier, way easier, and cut down on waiting times if I did my samples here in the UK. But obviously, due to waiting, due to lockdown, I should say, because I'm in lockdown, none of the shops are open. So that's why I did my samples via China, who are open now and they don't have a lockdown anymore. So I'm going over there, and then that's why I'm having to stay up crazy late and do all these stay up really late at night and trying to negotiate with them at night time in terms of getting my sample and having it shipped over. Shipping costs are crazy as well, by the way. That's something you should really keep an eye on. Like this t-shirt, for example, the shipping price on this was $20. Imagine $20. It's crazy. These times, if lockdown wasn't happening, I could have just walked down to a local shop and just had this done. You see what I'm saying? I could have had it done. It would have cost me probably less as well, because me spending what, 50 something dollars just to get this, which equates to around about £40. Here, if I walk to the shop and use one of my old t-shirts that I've got in my house, loads of old t-shirts, or even just gone down to a store and bought a cheap £3 t-shirt, taking it down to this place and then giving them my design, and then paid the extra to have the designer put on the t-shirt, imagine how much quicker that would be. So for all those who are budding designers and want to start their label out, that's what you should do. Next year when the lockdown's finished, well, the lockdown's apparently finishing next week, but how many stores are really opening during Christmas period, especially like stores that do printed t-shirts? I can't imagine them opening, and there's literally no point. They've been shut for like the whole of the year. So but yeah, if you're starting a new year, your clothing label, then I suggest you do that. Designing your software. Now, Adobe's obviously the premier brand if you want to create your designs, yeah? So you would normally get Photoshop or Corolla Paint, which is still kind of expensive. But with Photoshop, you have to rent it now. You can't just buy it and put it on your system. You have to rent that every month, and that's an added expense. So depending on what your finances are saying, I don't know if you could really afford that. You know, imagine every month you're having to sit there forking out, I think it's, what is it, $20-30 a month to use Illustrator and Photoshop, and maybe even Premiere Pro if you haven't got video editing software. But there's free video editing software that you can get off Google. You just type in Google free video editing software, and you can source a load. It'll be great for chopping up videos. That's what I did to download a video editing suite to edit my forthcoming YouTube videos, but I still haven't learned to use it yet. like I haven't really got time. It's like 3 in the morning right now, so yeah. Yeah, this life is crazy. So if you're working, try and know that it's either you go to bed crazy early, like at 9 o'clock, wake up at stupid o'clock in the morning, like let's say 5 o'clock, and then get your designs done, get your videoing done, learn what you can before you have to then jump on a train and go to work, or whatever mode of transport you need to go to work. But what I was going to say, in terms of getting software, go on somewhere like eBay or Amazon, or even like in the UK we've got something called Gumtree, and it's basically a place where you can just buy second-hand stuff. So what you would do is you buy an older copy of Photoshop, you know, the one with it come in CDs. I mean, most laptops don't even have CD burners anymore. So yeah, get an old copy of Photoshop. It shouldn't cost stupid amounts. It should cost something relatively cheap, but you won't have to pay every month for it. That's the thing. You won't have to pay every month for it. You'll have a really good software that you can design your stuff on, that you now keep forever and ever. All you'd have to do to put it on your PC, if you don't have a CD burner, is either get one of those old CD writers that you can plug in with a USB and install it that way. Job done. And now you got designer software. So that's a nice little tip for you guys. So the 2 tips that I thought of off the top of my head: when you're starting your brand, you want to get your samples quickish, sharpish. Source a local place that can do your t-shirts for your samples quickly. You might not want to use them in bulk because it would be a tad more expensive, but for samples, definitely. So see your idea realized, definitely, and it would be done within days as opposed to weeks like it's currently happening for me. And software, like I said, find yourself on one of those websites that you can get secondhand stuff, and grab yourself a copy of Photoshop for, like, I don't know, for me it'd probably be like £20 to £50. Like, obviously don't get like a mad old one, but get one that's like 2015, like 5 years old. It shouldn't set you back too much. So that's another tip for you guys. And oh yeah, managing your time, because right now it's 3 in the morning and I got to get up in 5 hours. So yeah, there's that. Managing your time is essential for doing this stuff, because I don't think I'm gonna get enough sleep right now. And what else? I did think of something else. Oh yeah, when you're designing your clothes, it really helps to have, like, with your logo, it really helps to turn it into a pattern. And what I mean by that, like, I'm trying to think of a brand. Like, so look at Louis Vuitton brand, for example. Either Louis Vuitton, or who else has a pattern? Even DKNY did it at one stage, where they just turn their logo into a pattern. Because sometimes you can get stuck for ideas of what to do with your t-shirts, because when you've got a logo, it's like, it's just this, and all you can do is really maybe change the font, make it bigger, smaller, change the location and stuff like that. And then after a while you feel like you're going to run out of ideas. But if you have a pattern, if you turn it into a pattern, you can put that and slap it on anything, you know what I mean? And you don't even have to use the whole logo. So that's another tip for you guys. But yeah, those are the things that just popped into my head, and I thought, let me share that information with you guys, because I'm pretty sure I'm not the only one trying to make my own clothing label out here. Oh yeah, and that's another thing. Never be worried about someone else copying your style. Don't worry about that, honestly, because when you think of your label, yeah. When I thought of my design label, like you start designing what you want it to look like already, right? So for me, when I started designing my label, and when I was in this Facebook group that I said I was in a couple of videos back, someone was sitting there. They was talking about, come and look at my shop. People were sharing their addresses so people can look at each other's shop and support each other's shops and so on and so forth. And one guy was in there and was like, oh yeah, I'm going to share my shop with you guys so you guys can come over there and pinch my ideas. And I was like, okay, maybe he has a point. But then when I thought about it, I was like, well, actually, most people here, if you started your brand, you've already created your brand identity by that point. If it happens to look similar to someone else, then yeah, that you can maybe take ideas from that person. But 9 out of 10 times, trust me on this, with all the people that I was in that group with, there must have been like a good 1,000 people in that group, and I looked at hundreds of shops, and I could not take someone else's idea and use it to help me. Do you see what I'm saying? The only thing I could do was maybe take ideas of how they promoted their stuff, but I couldn't take design tips from them, because your store has already established its own identity. You know what I mean? You've already got your own style in there, and that's very difficult to then change to make it like someone else's without it being very obvious. Do you know what I mean? And most people aren't going to do that, because you've already started down this path. It's almost too late to kind of back it up and then go down another path, or just change path change path completely, because you're trying to build up a following based off of the style that you've already created. You can't now just suddenly change your style, because then you lose a bunch of people that are happy with what you was already bringing to the table. So yes, that's another little tidbit there. Don't be worried about someone copying your style. Okay, that's all the tidbits I got for the minute. Now I'm gonna go to bed, get some sleep, and go to work, and do this whole thing again. And hopefully I will have another video for you guys ready next week. Hopefully I'll have an update on another my samples coming through or other stuff that's happening. Okay, all right, peace guys, have a great week.